Hey guys, welcome back to another video. And I figured since we're halfway through the NFL season, 9 weeks through, and we've got 9 weeks to go, I figured I'd do some mid-season predictions. You know, now that we've seen what teams have looked like through the first 9 weeks of the season, I figured why not, um, what's the word? I figured why not, um, do new predictions. Now that we've seen what teams are doing. I'll go division by division, where I have each team finishing based off of what we've seen through 9 weeks, and then I'll have my playoff predictions and award predictions halfway through the year. So, with no further ado, let's get into it. And we're going to start with the AFC East. Obviously, you can see in last place, I have the Jets. Obviously, yesterday during the trade deadline, um, massive deals with Sauce Gardner, Quinn Williams out the door. Craziness. Um, so the Jets clearly, um, what's the word? The Jets are clearly moving on. They clearly um want to be more of an offensive team, keeping Brees Hall, Garrett Wilson. Um, and I don't really, there are a couple games, Browns, Dolphins. Maybe they pull off another upset, but I think the Jets finish in last place. Just they've not been very good, and even though Miami is probably as bad as the Jets are, I think the Jets finish with a worse record or finish with just a fourth place finish. Obviously, I have the Dolphins finishing third. It's kind of a toss up of which team is worse between Miami and New York, but I give it to the Dolphins. Um, yeah, I think the Dolphins aren't very good, and well, there's not much to say. Moving on to second place, I have the Pats. I know a lot of people are going to be like, oh, you don't have New England finishing first. I just think Buffalo, like we've seen this story before, back in 2021. Obviously, Drake May is a better quarterback than Mac Jones, but I just think, we saw in 2021 the Pats, had an easier schedule and they were able to win a lot of these games. And they had this big lead. Remember, they also beat Buffalo in Buffalo. And then the Bills just came back, later on in the season and won the division. So I'm gonna trust the Bills to finish in first place. Yeah, I know it's the chalky pick to say the Bills finish in first, but New England will keep it close. Like they'll finish maybe tied or Buffalo will have, one better win. But I think New England, um, right now, because they've had an easier schedule because they obviously beat the Bills, are in first place. But I think as the season goes along, the Pats are gonna, have a couple losses, and Buffalo's gonna be able to, um, get back into this race. Moving on to the North, not much really has changed from the standings right now. Obviously, Cleveland in last place. We'll see if Shador ever gets a shot, but I don't really have confidence in this Browns team to finish better than maybe third. Maybe they surprise people and Cincinnati finishes last place, but I don't really see them finishing that much better than um they did last year. They maybe finish with a win or two more, but I don't really see much changing. Cincinnati, I mean, they have trade Hendrickson, which I thought was a little questionable because it's like if you're not going to re-sign him in the offseason, why exactly are you going to keep him around? But I mean, after the way the defense played against the Bears, and they traded away Logan Wilson, like they didn't even try to buy and help out this defense, and they were like, "No, we're gonna trade away a guy who, yes, hasn't been playing great this year, but we're gonna trade probably one of our better defenders outside of Trey Hendrickson to make the defense worse." So I don't see Cincinnati finishing better than third. Pittsburgh, I'm finishing in second. They obviously are 2 games ahead of the Ravens right now, but it's just they have a much harder schedule. And I mean, we see this story all the time. We saw it last year. The Steelers were great throughout most of the year and then just crumbled down the stretch. They were like 10-3 at one point, and they just win it. They just needed to win, a couple more games, and they would have won the division. They lost 4 straight, and then got destroyed by the Ravens in the playoffs. I think the Steelers once again teetered down at the end of the year, and they finished in second. And I think the Ravens finished in first. I get it was against the Dolphins, but this Ravens defense has been much improved their last 3 games: Rams, Bears, Dolphins, and I think um I think as the season goes along, they're going to continue to get better. This offense with Lamar healthy is going to be great. And the Ravens have a much easier schedule. They don't really play many great teams outside of New England. Like the teams they play are who are above 500. It's like the Pats are probably maybe the only good team they play. Like Green Bay has been very inconsistent, and the Steelers are just not a good team. They've just been able to win games because the other teams have more so lost the games. So yeah, I think the Ravens finish in first, and Pittsburgh once again falters at the end. Moving on to the South, this is literally the standings right now. And I don't think it changes. Tennessee, I think, is maybe the worst team in the league. Them, New Orleans, the Jets, the Dolphins. They're just, I mean, New Orleans isn't as bad as these other teams. It's just they don't have a lot of talent on their roster. So it's like, but like Tennessee is just bad. Cam Ward, I feel sad for him because he's the third consecutive first overall pick, or fourth consecutive first overall pick to have his head coach fired the same season they were hired. And then he's also the second consecutive quarterback alongside Caleb Williams, where the coach came in entering the year on the hot seat, and the team probably should have fired him after the prior season, but they kept him around for some reason. So I don't see Tennessee winning many games after this point. They've got 8 more to go. We'll see what happens. Houston, I mean, I picked them to win the South, but this offensive line just has not been very good. They just have not been very good, and they have not really helped out. Um, yeah, they just haven't really helped out um CJ Stroud in this offense because this defense has been amazing, but when your offense isn't doing anything, like we saw in the Broncos game this past Sunday, they just couldn't do anything, and it's just crazy that Houston has probably a playoff level off defense, but their offense is so bad that it's like it's holding them back. Jacksonville, I think, finishes in second. Um, yeah, I just think Houston's not going to be able to catch them. Although they do play each other this week, so we'll see. I think the Jags, um, yeah, I think Jacksonville is able to compete and will finish second. But I have the Colts. Yeah, I think they continue to get in stride. I think the Steelers loss was kind of just like the Rams loss, like a game that they kind of just lost really for no reason other than the offense just not being able to do a lot. But I think they'll shrug that. I think they'll shrug that loss off, and I think Indy will finish in first place, maybe even the number one seed with how well they played. And yeah, moving on to the West, a very interesting division. I think Vegas stays in last place. They are not a good football team at all. Just have not been very good, and I think it stays that way. I think the Chargers finish in third. I just think all these injuries are going to pile up, and I think the Chiefs, as they start to get healthier, as they start to win more games. I think LA's going to start to lose some games down the stretch, and the Chiefs are going to take advantage of that, which is why I have them flip flopped. I think the Chargers um, finish in third and miss the playoffs. And I think the Chiefs finish in second and make the playoffs. They're just too talented not to. Like, they lost to the Bills, but the Bills seem to always beat the Chiefs in the regular season. And I think off the bye, they're going to continue to roll, and I think they're going to get back in the stride. But I don't think they win this division. I think the Broncos do. I mean, this team is on fire. I mean, Denver has been amazing. Their wins haven't exactly been the greatest. They've beaten teams, and it's like, what the hell is going on? Like, their offense, some points doesn't look like they can do anything. Other points, it looks like they're a top five offense. Like, but I think, you know, because of, yeah, I think because they're going to finish with a better record than Kansas City. Like, I think because they had a strong start to the year, unlike the Chiefs, I think the Broncos are going to be able to win. And then moving on to my AFC playoff predictions. Obviously, I have the Colts finishing first overall. I just think unless New England catches up with them, I think the Colts get it. And then the Broncos get the 2 seed. The Bills get the 3 seed, and I think the Ravens get the 4 seed. New England gets the 5 seed. Jags get the 6 seed because of the tiebreaker over them in Kansas City. And the Chiefs get the 7 seed. So in these playoffs, I would have the Broncos over the Chiefs, 2 versus 7. Bills over the Jags. And I would pick the Ravens over the Patriots to beat them twice in the regular season and the postseason. I just think this New England team, while they've been great, one, it's been an easy schedule, and two, they've also, what's the word? They've also don't have a lot of experience, and young teams that make it to the playoffs usually tend to, what's the word? Tend to be hyped up and then lose. In the divisional round, I'm gonna take the Bills over the Broncos just because I know it's a mile high, but I just trust Buffalo more. Ravens, Colts. I'm gonna say the Ravens pull off the upset there, just because I think Indy. They've kind of been this great team, but I feel like in the playoffs, unless Daniel Jones like continues to play the way he's been playing outside of the Steelers game, I feel like he's going to cost them. And then I'm gonna say the Bills beat the Ravens in the 3 versus 4 to make it to the Super Bowl. Moving on to my NFC predictions. Moving on to the East. Yeah, I think the Giants finish in last place. They just haven't been good. Now, they've had moments. Jackson Dart was phenomenal, but I mean, this defense, which was supposed to be a strength of the team, hasn't really been the greatest. I don't know if it's because of injuries or what, but this defense was supposed to be the strength of the team, and they just haven't really performed. Washington, I just think it's going to be an injury-riddled year. You know, had high hope for the Commanders to not make it back to the NFC Championship, but compete with the Eagles this year. But they just couldn't really do that, and I think it ends up hurting them. Cowboys, I have finishing second. I don't think really the Giants, Commanders, or Cowboys really compete with Philly for the division, just because none of them really are that great. And honestly, Dallas made some desperate moves. I think Jerry was like, oh, Michael Parsons maybe was that great of a player. And so I think he was like, we just have to trade for these guys to make it seem like we're going to be, pushing for the playoffs. But I don't think they are. And I feel Philly's going to win this division. I mean, they've looked better over the past couple of weeks, and I think they continue to play better. Moving on to the North, I think Minnesota still finishes in last, but I think like this is probably going to be the most competitive division because of how close these teams are. Like I think Minnesota could finish with like 8, 9 wins and like almost like win this division. But I think they're gonna finish in last just because the slow start, and I think they're gonna start to lose games to some really good teams where it's like they're not gonna be able to continue to keep it close. I think Chicago finishes in third. It's actually a flip flop from where I had preseason, but yeah, I think the Bears finish in third. I don't think they're. I think they can compete in the North, but I just think they're still a season away from really competing to make the playoffs. But I think just like Minnesota, they're going to keep it close, but they're ultimately going to fall short. Packers, I think, finishing second. They've just been so inconsistent. Like first couple of weeks, they looked like a Super Bowl contender, but after that, they just haven't looked that good. You know, they have the bad Browns loss. Now they have the bad Panthers loss. Like some weeks they look like a Super Bowl contender. Other weeks they look like they're going to lose in the first round. And I still think Detroit wins this division. I think they're just too talented not to. And I think with Green Bay struggling to take a hold of the division, I think the Lions are able to keep it close and they eventually take over and win the division. Moving on to the South, I got the Saints finishing in last place. Like I said earlier, they're not talented. No, they are a feisty team, but I just think New Orleans. Oh, what's the word? I just think they need to. Gonna say, but they're gonna finish in fourth. Maybe they pull off an upset win here or there, but I don't think they're going to manage to win maybe more than one game for the rest of the year. Atlanta, I'm finishing in third. I mean, this was a year where it felt like if the Falcons had the quarterback and the defense, they could finally make some playoff push, but they just haven't been able to. And I think the Falcons are like they're more talented than their record is, but I just think this coaching staff is holding them back, and they're not going to finish with maybe a winning record. I have the Panthers finishing in second. They could finish with a winning record with the way they're playing. A huge win against the Packers. Then they have two games against the Saints and Falcons where it's like, if they want to prove they're a good team, they should win those games. But I don't think they're going to win this division. But I think Carolina is a team to like maybe be like right outside the playoffs where it's like they finish with like 8, 9 wins and they like just miss it. And it's like, oh, this team maybe next year could be a for real contender. And yeah, I have Tampa Bay finishing in first. Yeah, despite all the injuries, the Bucks have somehow still looked pretty impressive and a Super Bowl contender. And I think the Bucks most certainly will win this division, but I could see Carolina keeping it close. Especially they play each other twice later in the year, so I could see Carolina maybe pulling off one of those upsets and maybe knocking on the door of the South. And then finally the West. I have the Cardinals finishing in last. I did think it was the right decision to keep Jacoby Brissett as the starter, just because the offense has looked better with him, and Arizona has just looked like a more complete team when Brissett's at quarterback. Not saying Kyler's bad, it's just the way Brissett's played the last three games and the way the team's played, it seems like they've been much better. So I think the Cardinals are going to finish in last place, but I could see them getting 7, 8 wins and being a lot better than the record says they are with Brissett under center. Third place, I have the Niners. I could see San Fran maybe even winning this division. Preseason, I didn't think so, but they've they've been really resilient despite all the injuries. Mac Jones has been fantastic. I think he should be the starter for the rest of the season, just because he's looked better than Brock Purdy. I know Purdy's only played 2 games and he's been banged up, but still, Mac Jones has looked better and he's also been banged up. Um, but I just think the injuries are going to creep up on them, and I think the Niners maybe still can make the playoffs, but they're just not going to be able to win this division. Seattle, I have been finishing in second place. I could see them overtaking the Rams for first place because of how talented this defense and offense has been playing. I just trust LA a little bit more, so I'm putting Seattle in second place, but I could see them, especially after adding Rashid Shaheed to this offense, winning this division. And I have the Rams finishing in first place. I mean, they're a Super Bowl contender for a reason. They've looked great for like the Ravens game really was not that great, but they've bounced back the past couple of weeks against the Jags and the Saints. And this offense has looked amazing. The defense has been terrific, and I think they continue to get forward and win this division. Moving on to the playoffs, I have Philly finishing with the top seed, Tampa finishing second, the Rams in third, and the Lions in fourth. Then I have Seattle as the fifth seed. Green Bay is the sixth seed, and San Francisco is the seventh seed. I would have the Bucks over the Niners, although I could see like both these seven seeds. I have the Niners and Chiefs. I could see them pulling off the upset, which is crazy to say, but like they're both teams that like have championship caliber coaches and players, so it's like it's not hard to say. I have the Rams over the Packers, and I'm gonna say the Seahawks over the Lions. I just like Seattle more, and I trust them more to get the win. Then it'd be the Eagles and the Seahawks and the Rams and Bucks. I'm gonna take Philly over Seattle. I'm gonna take Tampa Bay over the Rams. And I'm gonna take the Bucks over the Eagles. I said in the preseason, I think this Tampa Bay team can be a thorn in Philly's side, and I think they could get the win. Meaning my Super Bowl is what I said in the preseason. Bucks and Bills. I have the Bills winning it. I just believe both these teams, with the way they're playing right now, can win the Super Bowl, and I think they both meet. Moving on to my award predictions. MVP, I'm going with Baker. He has been just phenomenal. And I think with all the injuries on this Bucks team, to despite those injuries, the Bucks are 6-2 and tied with like a bunch of other teams for top seed in the NFC. I think if Mayfield gets a top 2 seed, you have to say he's the MVP for a reason, and I think he gets it. Offensive Rookie of the Year, it is tough between Ibuka and Warren, but I'm going to give it to Tyler Warren just because Warren's been phenomenal. He's a part of probably one of the better stories. I could see Ibuka winning it, but I just think Tyler Warren, you know, has emerged as like a go-to guy, and for a Colts team that could finish with a top seed, I think they would finish with a couple of awards. Defensive Rookie of the Year, it's not been the greatest race, so I'm just gonna go with Abdul Carter. He's been great. Anything that the Giants have asked for, and I think Carter gets it. Defensive Player of the Year, I gotta go Micah. I know the stats, he hasn't been showing up, but he's been an impact guy on this Packers defense to really take them over to the next level. And I think he's going to prove that the rest of the year, where he's going to play phenomenally. And I think he can win it. Offensive Player of the Year, I'm going to go Jonathan Taylor. I mean, I could see him winning MVP because of how great his senior season has been, but I don't know if they're going to vote for a non quarterback. So I think Taylor should at least win Offensive Player of the Year, if not MVP, with how well he's been playing. I know people are going to say Daniel Jones, but I think Taylor's been more impactful and has been a phenomenal player when probably a couple of years ago when Taylor got that contract, people were like, "Whoa, whoa, whoa! What are the Colts doing?" They invested in this guy, and he is looking like a great investment. Comeback Player of the Year. I'm gonna go Christian McCaffrey. There's plenty of candidates. Stack, Aiden Hutchinson. If you want to say Daniel Jones, even though I'm in the disagreeer of like the comeback player of the year should go to a guy coming back from an injury, not because they were bad and they're now suddenly good. Um, I think McCaffrey, he's been phenomenal. He's been one of the reasons why this Niners team has exceeded expectations despite all the injuries. And I think CMC deserves to be the comeback player of the year. Coach of the year, I'm going Kyle Shanahan. The way he's kept this Niners team um, winning despite all the injuries, despite not having many healthy players on offense or defense. And I think he deserves some respect for how well he's put this Niners team in a position to be in the playoffs. And then protector of the year, I'm gonna go Panay Sewell. I think he was my preseason pick. I'm just gonna keep it with them. But yeah, those are my those are my mid-season predictions. Now that we're halfway through the year, I figured I'd go back and I'd redo these predictions based off of what the season looks like. But I hope you guys enjoy the video. Hope you guys like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, and I'll see you guys tomorrow for my picks. Bye bye.